I live in New York City, and I went over to my friend's apartment last night. Her neighbor died about 2 years ago, and the apartment has not been cleaned out yet, so we decided to push open.
The internet has always rewarded people who like to stay ahead of the culture, those who spot the next trend before everybody else, capitalize it, and create something the audience hasn't seen before. But in the race for clicks, views, and engagement, some creators end up crossing lines that should never have been crossed. And that was exactly the case with the former rising TikTok influencer, Kiley Skeff. At first glance, she seemed like just another influencer cooking up the same formula that's been repeated countless times before. Fashion, lifestyle, and pop culture, viral aesthetics, internet buzz, and covering the latest trends as quickly as possible. It's the kind of content that attracts younger audiences and creators who can keep up with that cycle and often build massive followings. Kiley started off no differently. She began posting fashion and lifestyle across TikTok and her Instagram page. As her audience grew, she started partnering up with well-known fashion brands, eventually landing a role in the marketing department of an American-made fashion and accessories company. If you look her up online, you'll quickly realize that she's associated with this jewelry brand called FE Jewelry. However, you'll also notice that almost all of her social media presence has been wiped clean. We mean her portfolio on Squarespace has been privatized, her TikTok's been deleted, and even her LinkedIn is no longer visible when you click it. But before she seemingly disappeared from everywhere, her online presence continued to gain enough momentum, and it started opening new doors to sponsorships with other brands as well as modeling opportunities as companies began featuring her to promote their products. At that point, Kiley's career seemed to be following a path of a typical rising fashion influencer. This rise was steady, but somewhere along the way, Kiley decided to chase a different kind of content, one that would ultimately destroy her image, cost her the brand deals she had spent years building, and turn her from a rising influencer into the center of an internet-wide controversy.
I live in New York City, and I went over to my friend's apartment last night. Her neighbor died about 2 years ago, and the apartment has not been cleaned out yet, so we decided to push open the door last night.
Yes, she did exactly the thing she said in her video. She broke into the apartment of her friend's neighbor and documented the entire incident for her TikTok page. We mean, she didn't just break into the apartment, she also rummaged through this person's personal belongings while filming the entire thing for the camera. She and her friend Rachel did it together. At one point, they even found an old newspaper that apparently dated back to the 1990s and held it up to the camera, continuing to go through the person's belongings as if it were some kind of entertainment.
1990.
Oh!
Jets ain't done anything awful. The Jets will never be good in 1990, and in 2026,
They're
they
awful.
will never be good.
As you guys can imagine, what initially appeared to be another influencer upload quickly turned into a controversy that spread far beyond her own audience, bringing an abrupt end to her online career. What followed that downfall was a wave of backlash so intense that it soon resulted in countless people urging authorities to look into the content. Another thing Kiley tries to do in this post is downplay what she's actually doing. Rather than acknowledging that she's entering someone else's property without permission, she casually describes it as just pushing open a door. Attempting to make an unauthorized entry sound as routine and harmless as walking through a public entrance. For a little background on what she did, according to the New York penal law, unlawfully entering someone else's private property without permission can constitute an offense that can be reported to the NYPD and under several degrees depending on the situation. In more serious cases, conviction can also carry sentences of up to 7 years. Now, understandably, this controversy was met with far more backlash than Kiley had likely anticipated, perhaps due to the influencer culture where creators often expect to walk away with scandals with little more than temporary criticism. But this time, thankfully, it was not like that. Facing mounting public scrutiny, she deleted virtually every trace of her online presence, deactivating her Instagram, removing her TikTok account, and even taking down everything associated with her name. Her friend Rachel Maslow also faced the consequences of her involvement in the incident. Unsurprisingly, she too erased her social media presence, disappearing as the backlash continued to intensify. This ultimately became a devastating blow to Kiley's rising career, destroying the reputation she had been chasing since her college days. We found an old post on X where Kiley said, "I don't want my Instagram to look like everyone else's. I want people to get fashion ideas from me, the way I once got inspiration from photo shoots from others." Seeing Keel became so successful successful by marketing his company online inspired me to take my Instagram to the next level and market my own sense of style. The post also mentions that she was a marketing major. Ironically, she did the exact opposite of what she set out to do. She wanted her Instagram to stand out and build a brand around her personal style, but instead she ended up damaging her own career with a video that seemed to rely almost entirely on shock value. Rather than being remembered for her fashion or creativity, she became known for all the wrong reasons, and for her, none of this seemed particularly serious. Throughout the video, she treated the entire thing as if it were nothing more than another piece of content, casually joking with her friends while wandering through the person's home. Even when acknowledging that what they were doing could be illegal, the moment was played for laughs rather than concern. The carefree attitude from her side quickly became one of the biggest reasons the controversy exploded. It wasn't just the act of entering the home that created the buzz, it was the complete lack of remorse and use of sarcastic remarks for the pursuit of another viral video.
Aren't they awful? The Jets will never be good in 1990 and in 2026.
They're awful.
Will never be good. You guys.
In an industry where staying relevant meant consistently pushing the next trend, Kiley chose to push something far more dangerous and illegal. This was not another fashion or lifestyle video. She turned some family's private tragedy into a gamble for shock value, just to generate the kind of attention her normal content no longer could. The attitude reached its lowest point when the jokes shifted towards the person who had actually lived there. Her sarcastic remarks are what the viewers truly interpreted as dismissive and utterly disrespectful. As more details surfaced, the viewers also pointed out that Kiley appeared to have taken one of the personal belongings from the apartment, later showing it to the camera.
They thought it was a grand idea to break and enter into the apartment and not only go through all the items inside, but also to take things from inside the apartment. She's holding something that they took from inside the apartment. Like, recorded the whole thing, them going inside, going through all the items, and everyone's telling her, hey, not only is this disrespectful, but it's illegal, take this down. And she's making jokes about the person who passed away.
What had already been viewed as a disrespectful invasion of privacy now in the eyes of many viewers had crossed into something even more serious. Now, with all that had happened, the fallout was immediate. Faced with mounting backlash, Kiley gradually erased all her presence from the internet, deleting and deactivating nearly all of her public accounts she had built over the years. This even led the brands to delete the posts showcasing their partnership with her. But disappearing from social media didn't bring this controversy to an end, because the videos had already spread far beyond her own audience. By this point, there was very little Kiley could do to regain control of the situation. The videos had already spread far beyond her own audience, finding their way onto other platforms like Reddit, where many people are now discussing not only what she had done, but also the mindset that had led her to believe filming it in the first place was acceptable. Across Reddit and other platforms, users argued that the influencer culture had fostered a sense of entitlement. One comment in particular captured the sentiment shared by thousands of others, arguing that Kiley's actions weren't really a judgment failure, but another symptom of a much larger problem within influencer culture. This person said, "I try not to paint entire groups with one brush, but it's hard not to with influencers. So many of them are entitled. How arrogant and self-deluded does one have to be to do something like this?" As often happens during major internet controversies, the investigation didn't stop with the incident itself. Users began digging through her family's personal and professional history, eventually uncovering details about her family's ties to a funeral home business, and this fueled the outrage even further. Her grandfather, John Skeffington Jr., has spent more than 6 decades as a respected funeral director, earning a reputation for helping families navigate some of the most painful moments of their lives with dignity, compassion, and respect for the It was a discovery many found deeply ironic. The very values that defined her family's legacy, protecting the dignity of those who had passed away and respecting the loved ones they left behind, stood in contrast to the actions Kiley was now being condemned for. If anyone should have understood why a person's home wasn't a source of entertainment or social media content, it should have been someone who was raised around that legacy. But instead, she had done the exact opposite, making the controversy feel even more insensitive than it already was. This revelation not only reinforced the moral outrage, but it also hardened public opinion on what should happen next. By now, the discussion had moved well beyond whether her actions were simply insensitive. As many continued dissecting the video frame by frame, calls for legal action became impossible to ignore. comment sections were flooded with sympathy for the victim's family, as well as with the calls for accountability. Users questioned whether the footage itself could be used as evidence, so they tagged the law enforcement agencies and openly called for charges, arguing that the videos documented far more than just another influencer controversy. The backlash didn't just come from Kiley's own audience. Plenty of other creators stepped in to call out what she had done. One of them was the popular TikToker @Daddy'sSnacks, who's well known for humbling influencers. He couldn't believe that someone whose full-time job is social media had to ask their followers whether breaking into an abandoned-looking home was actually illegal. He also pointed out that the property might not have been abandoned at all, and mentioned New York's probate laws, arguing that a little bit of research could have prevented this entire situation. Instead, he said Kiley turned what could have been someone's family home into a public treasure hunt for content.
I live in New York City, and I went over to my friend's apartment last night. Her neighbor died about 2 years ago, and the apartment has not been cleaned out yet, so we decided to push open the door last.
You are a grown-ass adult who does social media for a living, and you need to ask your followers if it's illegal to do this. And if that weren't bad enough, her and her friends started taking things from inside.
The Jets will never be good in 1990 and in 2000.
And by the way, this place might not even be abandoned, but God forbid somebody who just moved here do 2 minutes of research before turning this woman's home into a treasure hunt. Everyone who says I think I'm so much better than the influencers I post, I honestly am, because the bar ain't that high.
Another creator, Taylor Pear, was just as critical. She questioned how Kiley and her friends thought they had any right to enter the property in the first place, calling the whole situation incredibly disrespectful.
A quick question, why did those girls think that they could do that? That was absolutely disrespectful. I'm in disbelief. Her bio, when I clicked, says Rhode Island girl in New York. That absolutely tracks. To break into someone's last home with all of their belongings in sight, to me, is like breaking into someone's grave and then documenting it for TikTok and views. Could you imagine their family member stumbling upon this? I don't know who needs to hear this, but just because you live in the city doesn't mean everything around it is for you to document online. There's nuance to this. Like, people are documenting too much. It's ruining New York in a capitalistic standpoint. This is a whole other thing. This is on a human level of exploitation. Going through a woman's shit online for attention. You didn't know her? You admitted online you busted in there? Hello?
Both Taylor and Daddy'sSnacks also highlighted the fact that Kiley wasn't originally from New York, with Taylor suggesting that this kind of behavior is exactly why many New Yorkers become frustrated with transplants moving into the city. Regardless of how the legal side of the incident would unfold, one thing had already become clear: public opinion had turned decisively against her, leaving only one unanswered question: would she take responsibility for her actions, or simply vanish like she did before she ever had to? On this note, we'd like to end this video. If you stayed till the end, then don't forget to give this one a big thumbs up and comment down below what you think about the situation.